From the Customs and Integration themed show at the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, here is comedian and lead pastor at Disciples Church in Edmonton, Dan Taylor.
Thank you, Winnipeg. I'm excited to be here. I bet you're wondering why a guy who looks like me is on the Customs and Integration show. I'm confused myself. I think someone decided that we didn't want the rest of them backstage by themselves, you know. Planning things, you know, that's not... I am surprised to be here. I look like what happens when you do a Google image search of white privilege. But I do come from recent immigrants. My grandparents moved to Canada from Northern Ireland. And I know that it's easy to underestimate the great cultural gulf between Belfast, Northern Ireland, and rural Prince Edward Island. But it does exist. My grandparents had the courage to move from a land full of angry alcoholics with silly accents to a land full of angry alcoholics. Silly. I am from the Maritimes, though, and I know that might be hard of you to understand because I don't talk with a fake accent, because that's what the viewers to the CBC's like. But it's a true thing. It was a real thing. My grandparents moved from Northern Ireland to Prince Edward Island after my grandfather beat a man to death in a fist fight. But he was a Catholic man, so whatevs. So they roll in Northern Ireland. I didn't just grow up, though, in maritime culture. I also grew up in a very strict fundamentalist Christian culture. Which was different. I went to Christian schools for most of my growing up life. My spelling was excellent. Science. But it made for some interesting conversations, because I once got 2 weeks of detention at school because I told a joke wherein I said the word fart. Now, the principal, Mr. Jefferson, sat me down and gave me a 2-hour lecture where he told me how I had crossed the line because I said the word fart. Now, I remember the joke, and incidentally, it was horribly racist. No one had a problem with that, just don't say fart. We have our standards at this school, no farts allowed. And it's weird because that still kind of continues today. I was doing comedy at a clean comedy show, and they were very concerned that they didn't want me to swear. And I'm okay with that. I try not to swear that much outside my own head. And but as I watched the other performers on the show, I realized that while I couldn't swear, I could be as racist and homophobic as I wanted. Nobody had a problem with that. Just don't swear. And it was weird to be in a place where I could be racist but not swear. It was like having dinner with my grandparents. Very polite, but every once in a while, just a horrible slur thrown in. And it's frustrating because my Irish-Canadian grandparents were inconsistent racists. Because he'd say, like, what about Hardeep, who owns the gas station? He's a really good guy. And they'd say, bah, he's not like the rest of them. Sure, just judge the group not by the one person that you know, but by the millions you've made up in your own imagination. It's the wise thing for us to do. But I don't live on Prince Edward Island now. I live in Edmonton, which I love. It's a growing and diverse community, which I'm very excited by. But it does make life a little bit complicated, especially when navigating the politics of the under-6 soccer team. I'm very intense about the under-6 soccer team, which is not a sentence that an adult should say. But I coach the soccer team, and it's tough because my neighborhood is made up completely of either white hippies and brand new Canadians. And it's tough because the white hippie parents will come to me as the coach, and they'll be like, so Oliver wants to play soccer, but he doesn't actually want to play soccer. Is that okay? And because I'm a reasonable human being, what I say out loud is, that's fine. Oliver can participate at whatever level Oliver wants to participate. It's all about Oliver having fun in the end. But what I'm thinking in my brain is, Oliver is wasting my time. Get rid of Oliver, bring him back when he's ready to compete. Nobody wants him here. And it's frustrating because the other half of the team is made up of brand new Canadians, and these are people who are deeply passionate about soccer. Some of them, it's the first person in their family that has gotten to play organized soccer with like a full kit and like a grass field and a round ball and no one shooting at them. It's a beautiful, beautiful moment. And that kid has to sit on the sidelines so Oliver can go eat grass? Get rid of him. Nobody wants him here. The other thing that I've learned from this that we can fix together as white people is that we need to stop naming our children things that end in Aiden. This is the actual roster for my son's soccer team. Peyton, Jaden, Caden, Braden, Tayton, Isaac, Ibrahim, Saif, Mauricio, and Ganur. Half of those names are interesting and have history and culture. The other half of those names, it's like at the hospital. They were like, here's a 26-sided die, white people. We know you're going to end it in Aiden. Let's just get this over with. Do what you're going to do. But it's complicated, though, because I do have this racist redneck past that I still live with. And in my diverse neighborhood, I still have some family members who are concerned, and they're always concerned about who my daughter is going to date for some reason. That's the biggest thing that they're afraid of. So I'll have like an uncle that will be like, what are you going to do when your daughter brings home one of these African boys? And I'm like, nothing. Treat him with the same level of passive-aggressive disdain that I'll treat anyone my daughter is romantically involved with. I don't know why that's the thing that I'm supposed to be afraid of, because I met a lot of young, like, old stock Canadian boys. And they're nothing to be proud of. And in all honesty, I would way rather my daughter bring home a new Canadian who is like, still knows how to work and is still afraid of his dad, rather than some piece of junk white kid from the suburbs whose parents have never told him no. Forget it. My daughter can bring home all the Mauricio, Saifs, and Ganurs she wants. If she brings home an Oliver, I'm burning his house down. Thanks so much. My name's Dan Taylor. Have a good night.
Not exactly the tone you'd expect to hear from a church pastor, but it's refreshing and it's funny. That was Dan Taylor. And if you'd like to learn more about him, you can take a visit to dantaylortalks.ca.